am I sat in the same clothes as I was for the last video? Yes, I'm pre-filming. Did I do the like old-fashioned millennial heart for the thumbnail because I can't be bothered to try and figure out like the new one that people do? Yes, I did. I'm old. Deal with it. Hi everyone, my name is Chloe. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here today. Today's video is going to be a tag video. I was tagged in this by the lovely Gem from Bookish Gems. I will link her channel and her video down below. And I literally watched her video today and thought I would very quickly film this because, you know, it seems like it's something that I should do in the month of February, given that it was Valentine's Day last week. But you know, this is a tag that doesn't actually just focus on romantic love. It focuses on all forms of love, which is why I thought it was fun to do. So this is the Love in Books tag. It was originally created by Ellie, and I will tag her original video down below as well. And there are 7 questions, well 8, but one of them is like, who am I going to tag? So there are 7 books that I'm going to give you recommendations for today, and they are all about books with love in them in some way, shape or form. So the first one we have is Friendship Love, and should name a book that includes a loving friendship. So I had quite a lot of choices for this one, but I was trying to avoid, I was trying to avoid some of like the more obvious ones that I would mention, and then I know for a fact that the next book that I have to talk about after this one is one of those more obvious picks. But never mind. I tend to read a lot of books with good friendships in them, but I decided to go with sticking with a book that is in the romance category, but one of the relationships that I particularly like in this is a friendship, and that is, spoiler alert, by Olivia Dade. So this is the first book in a companion series, and they all feature actors who are on this TV show that is essentially Game of Thrones. And this first one is about the main character, whose name I cannot remember, Marcus, who is like one of the stars of the TV show, but also he is secretly a fanfic writer for his own TV show, and he ends up going on a date with this girl who is also a fanfic writer, but she doesn't know that he is a fanfic writer. She just knows him as the star of the show, and it's about their relationship. But what I'm going to mention for this particular prompt is the friendship between Marcus and Alex. So Alex is one of the other stars of the show, and he is the main character of the second book in this companion series, and I just really like their friendship. It was one of the reasons why I was really excited to read the sequel, is that I liked Alex as a character and I liked seeing him through his interactions with Marcus. That carries on into the second one as well. I think it's really nice to see how much they really care for each other. It's just a really fun friendship. So I thought I would recommend this for the friendship prompt, although obviously it does have some lovely like romantic love in there as well. So it's a nice sort of all-round book. Next up we have Sibling Love, which is a book that features a strong sibling relationship. So I, again, had multiple options for this, and like, yeah, I should have avoided like talking about the books that you're expecting me to talk about when I'm going to talk about books with love in them, but I will talk about this book anytime we can do. And also like the sibling relationships, like 2 of them in particular. There's one sibling relationship in here that I do not like, but 2 of the sibling relationships in this book in particular are some of my favourite things, and this book is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. You don't need me to tell you what this is about, but I will. It is about Alex, who is the first son of the United States, and then about Henry, who is a prince from the UK, and they originally start off not particularly liking each other. They have been thrown together at various like functions throughout the years, not particularly got on, and then something happens and they end up having to kind of fake a friendship to like gloss over things in the tabloids, and that ends up developing to a relationship. And obviously I'm not here to talk about their relationship, I'm here to talk about the sibling relationships. So Alex has a sister called June and Henry has a sister called Bee, and I love both of their relationships with their siblings. There is also like Henry's got a brother, but we don't talk about him, like he's the one that we ignore. But the relationships between June and Alex, and then Bee and Henry, are both beautiful in their own ways, and I love them so much. And there is like, this is a version that has a little bit of an extra chapter from Henry's point of view at the end of it, and it gave you like extra bits for all of them, and I also really love that. And do I reread this soon? Probably. I feel like I'm due a reread. I've read it many times, but I feel like I'm due a reread. This is what these videos do to me. They just make me want to reread my favourites. Next up we have Parental or Guardian Love, and it is to name a book that has a character who identifies as a parent or guardian. Now I struggled with this one a little bit because I'm like, I don't read that many books where people sort of have kids in them, and a lot of like the YA books you tend to read often have like disappearing parents. It's just a trend that happens. I feel like they think it's easier to like write things where the parents aren't really that involved, and there are some that I could have fought for it where the parents are there, but I was just like, I don't really want to recommend that one. And then I spotted this book and I remembered that this main character actually has a daughter, and that is one of like the key parts of this book, and I just completely forgot about it. But this is Rosaline Palmer Takes a Cake by Alexis Hall. So this is this first book in a companion series that is basically romances set during a TV show that is very much like Great British Bake Off. So this one is obviously about a character called Rosaline Palmer, and she has a daughter, a young daughter, and she is entering the competition because the prize money that she would get would obviously help with like making her life more stable and things like that. And like I said, there is a romance involved, so there is like romantic stuff that happens when she gets to the Bake Off tent. Like the majority of this book actually takes place at the tent, so it's not like when she's with her daughter, but her daughter is kind of like a driving force for a lot of it, which I know actually would put some people off reading this book, because I know some people don't like necessarily reading things where people have got young kids. Like, but I will say, like, I don't necessarily love it all the time, but I say in this book I feel like it's handled really, really well. Like everything in this book has got a really nice balance to it, and it actually has like some more conversations that I wasn't expecting to be in there. So particularly around sort of sexuality, because the main character is bi in this, and it's about how other people view that, and there's just some like really, really interesting stuff that happens in here. But also it's like a cute romance, and there are like baking recipes at the back of the book. And I really, really enjoyed this book, so much so that when I went to New York last week, I bought the sequel because I needed a matching copy, because it's now published in the UK, but when I bought it, it wasn't. So I have got the US copy of this. But now I have a matching one. I say matching, like they don't match, but they're the right size at least, and that's what I wanted. Like they're very different in terms of how they look on the side. Like the writing is different, but they're the right size, because the UK one is like a good like inch shorter, which could not be dealing with that. Next up we have Pet Love, which is to name a book that features a loyal pet or animal companion. Now I had a couple of options for this. One of them I was thinking of was Nevernight, but I'd literally just used that in another recommendations video, and I didn't want to use it twice in a row, like in two videos that I've just filmed back to back. The other one I thought of was like Really, Really Cruel, because something happens to this animal and it's like one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever read in a book, and I'm not even going to tell you what book it is. But I was like, if you read that book and I recommend it as a loyal pet one, it would be very, very horrible, because they're a very, very loyal pet. But oh good god, that scene was heartbreaking. So what I decided to do is to go with something that I was trying to avoid picking, because again it's a very obvious answer, but there are not one but two dogs in this series, and they are both adorable, and also it's a graphic novel, so there are pictures of the dogs. It's even better, and that is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I picked like the really, really shiny one up, and it's very, very bright with the lights, but it was the easiest one to reach. This is the new hardback editions that have just come out in the UK. Nick has a dog called Nellie at the start of this series. Later on he will get another dog called Henry, and they are the most adorable things in the world. Let me see if I can find a picture of them. Look at her. She is the cutest little thing in the whole entire world. So yeah, I had to pick Heartstopper for this one. Next up we have Romantic Love. So this is a book that features a swoon-worthy romantic plotline. So this one is a little bit of like, it's a strange one to pick in a way, because they are actually already in a relationship at the beginning of this book, and it's not in a good place. But like the way they come back to each other is like so like real and so adorable, and it's just handled so well. Like I could not see it working when I started reading this book, but by the end of it I was like, oh no, I am like 100% here for this. So I'm gonna pick this one for this prompt, and yes, I will hold my hand up and say this is a mega rec that you should all listen to. It is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel. So at the start of this book you have the two main characters, Naomi and Nicholas, and they are engaged to be married and not particularly happy in that engagement. Like they've kind of grown apart, and like differences have started, like some differences have started to like come up between them, a lot of it due to like just poor communication. And this book basically at the beginning of the book they are both trying to get out of the engagement, but neither of them wants to kind of be the one to call it off, because then they have to pay for the wedding. So they kind of try to annoy each other into calling off the wedding, but throughout the book they actually sort of come back towards each other. It is a romance, so that's not a spoiler. Like obviously we're looking for things to work out in the end, and yeah, I just really like could not see how it would happen at the beginning of the book, and then the way it did, I loved it so much. And yeah, swoon-worthy romance, a very, very good recommendation from Meg there, that she has recommended to pretty much everyone she possibly can do. She, like most of our friendship group who owns this book, owns it because Meg has bought it for us. That is how much she like pushes this book on people, but I understand why. Okay, next up we have Erotic Love, which is to name a book that doesn't fade to black when things get spicy. So I was trying to think of, again, which one to pick for this. There are a few I could have picked. I know that when Jem did her recommendation, she picked The Roommate, which is a very good recommendation for this one. And I could have picked that, but I decided to go for something different, because obviously I've only just watched her video today. I don't just want to copy her answers. So I have decided to go for Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This one is a sapphic romance. It is about this woman called Delilah Green who basically moved out of her hometown as soon as she could when she like turned 18. She kind of disappeared, left everything behind, not necessarily on the best terms with her stepmother and her stepsister, who are still living in town. And then she ends up coming back to take photographs for her stepsister's wedding. On the first day there, she flirts with this woman in a bar, and it's actually the stepsister's best friend, and it's kind of about their relationship that is building during this wedding weekend. And it is the first in a companion series. There are 2 of them out so far. There are going to be 3. So we've got Darla Green Doesn't Care, we've got Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, and then we have got Iris something Gorover. It's a new one that's coming out, and they have just announced the title, but I can't remember what it's called. But Iris is your 3rd character, and I really loved this series, so I'm going to pick this one for this prompt. I'm not going to give like further information on any of those scenes in there. There aren't like a ridiculous amount of them. There is definitely like a romance that has some scenes in there, but they are there. They are not like completely fade to black either. There is also the second book, which is very similar in like it is a romance that has some scenes thrown in there. Like, I'm not a person who reads like the other sort of version where it is those scenes with no plot whatsoever, so like this is the closest I'm going to get for a recommendation. And then the last book recommendation I have before we get on to who I tag is Self-Love, which is to name a book that includes the theme of self-love, appreciating your own worth, finding yourself, self-acceptance, personal growth, etc. So for this one, I've gone with one that has like a title that seems to say that it does not fit with this tag at all, and it is Loveless by Alice Oseman. So this is about a main character, Georgia, who goes off to university having never kissed anyone, never really had a crush on anyone, just never really feeling like any type of romantic love, and she's not quite sure why that is until she gets to university and joins this LGBTQ plus society and hears the terms asexual and aromantic and starts to realise that maybe they are terms that she identifies with. So obviously, as that would suggest, this book features a lot of sort of self-discovery and figuring out sort of who you are and what you identify as, but also alongside like Georgia's story, there is also like a lot of side characters who are also figuring things out. So like for example, these characters on the front are Pip and Rooney. They also have a lot going on. It's also a lot about figuring out that love doesn't always have to be romantic, that loving like friendships is very important, and also that sort of loving and accepting yourself is very important. So obviously it does fit for the self-love prompt, and even though it's called Loveless, it is very much about love that exists that isn't romantic love, and I feel like this is a good one to pick for this particular tag. The last one is to share the love, and it is to tag some booktubers that you love. Now, Gemma's already tagged some of the booktubers that I love, so I'm not going to repeat those, but I'm going to tag Meg from 12 Books a Day. I'm going to tag Liv from Live in Magical Bookland, and I'm going to tag Andy from A Zebra Reads. And you know, anyone else who wants to do this tag, I always think like tag videos, if you want to do it, just do it anyway. But anyway, that is everything. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff down below, and I will see you guys soon with a new video. Bye.